I wanted to know about this the only Hispanic family on the street. You mentioned the Garcias. Like I wanted to know more. Like what was it like when this family moved into this area that I guess was mostly black?
They were, believe it or not, the Garcia family was our neighbors on 136th Street. They were the only other non-black family in that neighborhood. It was Al Garcia. In fact, he ran for city council against Dollarhide when Dollarhide was running for the city council. That was the only ones. Now, they had young kids. They had 2 kids, but they were much younger than I was, so I never really got to hang out with them. They were way younger. They went to a 7-day Adventist school anyway, over off of El Segundo, because he was very religious, and so they sent him to the 7-day Adventist school.
So during your years at St. Leo's, for those 6 years, I wanted to know, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do as an adult, eventually going into law enforcement, or was policing not even a thought when you was a kid going to St. Leo's school?
You know, it's funny because before I left Utah Street School in Boyle Heights, they made me a safety, believe it or not, and gave me a badge. And I had to make sure the kids were staying in line and that everybody was off in class. And so they gave me it was kind of like a little mini police job. And this was at Utah Street School. So I kind of liked that, the fact that I had a badge and that I was had a segment of authority. So, but I did not have that automatically you can say, that obsession that I was going to be a cop. I wanted to be a social worker. I wanted to join at that time, remember Kennedy had that 4 and 8 thing, that you went over to Asia or Africa and you helped the people.
Now, when you were at Boyle Heights, you talked about the 2 street groups, 2 street gangs, the Apaches and Blue Diamonds. When you got to 136 and Central, were there some similar groups like that already operating in, I don't know, 1952, 53?
There was one group that was similar, okay, and they were called the Turbines, okay, and they came out of St. Leo's, believe it or not. And
they were from Watts?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were called the Turbines. So that was the only group that actually had any similarity at all to the Apaches. But the Apaches were violent in Boyle Heights. They were a gang group of teenagers in it. The Blue Diamonds were younger. They called midgets. They were guys between 9 and 12 years old. And the same thing with the Turbines. The Turbines were really young.
And were the Turbines? What was the racial makeup of the Turbines?
They were black. It was a Watts group. They were all black.
So were they near you at 136th and Central, or mostly on the Watts side?
They were all on Watts. From 110th, Will Rogers Park is where they all hung out there.
Was that park called Will Rogers back then in the 50s? It was always
Will Rogers Park.
Okay. I think they changed the name of it.
I don't know what it's called.
I think it's called Watkins Park now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I have no idea.
Because I don't know if they had the WLCAC over there, the Watts Labor Community Action Committee. That came, I guess that came later.
No, in my day it was called Will Rogers Park.
So, what about in actual Compton? Were there any like white gangs, white groups that you remember in the mid-50s?
There was one group I used to hang out, believe it or not, with a family by the name of Shoup. Larry Shoup went to high school with me, and he had a good friend by the name of Kodemus. And this was in Victory Park, and this was called White Island. It was actually the last enclave of white people that before they moved all the way to the east side. And there was a couple of guys that came in there. At the time, I didn't understand where they were. I didn't even connect to it. This was like 1958. 1950, 57, and they were called the Spook Hunters. And they had this jacket, which really impressed me, or made an impression in my mind. I had this logo on the back of the jacket of a black guy being hung.
I've heard of that before, but I always thought of it that it was a myth or a rumor.
That really happened.
That really happened. You've seen it.
I was there.
Wow.
I saw this dude, man.
So, can you name some of these guys from back then, so that because a lot of people don't believe that the Spook Hunters really existed.
Well, I didn't know any of them personally. They came over to visit a friend of mine in Victory Park. So I never got to say, hey, sit down, let's do this, let's do that. I mean, the jacket just terrified me. Not terrified me, but I figured this was not going to be, I wasn't going to have the same thing in common. But I lived in 136 and 7th Avenue. You know, I mean, I was over there visiting Larry Shoup, was white, but I lived in the West Side.
So Larry Shoup was not a spook hunter?
No, but he knew of them.
Yeah. Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Feel free to comment below so you can give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related episodes to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description, and thanks for watching StreetTV.net.